All right, how we doing? It is Wednesday, and this coming Friday is Friday the 13th. So got back together with my boy Cam here.
What's
Say
up?
hello. Yeah, there you go. You did the Thanksgiving review with me back in November,
Hmm.
and we've been talking for quite a while about doing some Friday the 13th reviews. So I texted you a couple weeks ago. I was like, dude, you want to do the Jason X review with me on Friday the 13th?
Yeah, I was so excited to do this. I was just like, yes, yes. I'm like, what do you
So
mean?
before we start, though, I promised my friend that I would talk about this. So my friend Liz, who was in the Spirit Halloween video,
Hmm.
she makes custom belts and custom guitar straps,
Okay.
and she made me a Nosferatu one, and it's fucking badass. So I'm gonna put a link below to her stuff because she does horror shit, and it's really cool. And I promised her that I would plug it because she gave me this and some other stuff for my birthday. So here we go. Jason X.
I need to pick up one of those.
Yeah, they're
I,
pretty
I
dope, actually.
yeah, I need to pick up one. I'm a
She
ghost,
was
right?
the woman across from us in Pittsburgh from my booth. You talked to her.
Oh yeah, the blonde girl with the
Yep.
glasses and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hit her up because it's like I'm a ghostwriter for somebody and I got a bunch of guitars and I'm like
Yeah.
I go to shops and I'm like $40 for this piece of crap.
Yeah. She
You know?
makes some really cool horror ones, and she was at the Joe Bob event in Tennessee a couple months ago and did really well there. So Liz, if you're watching, thank you, and I'll put your stuff down below so people can find you. So Jason X, the 10th in the Friday the 13th series.
Yes.
Um, did you see this in the theater? Or did you see it on video?
I'm 24.
Oh yeah, you're right. Fucking,
You're
I
like,
saw this in the theater. I saw this the same day I saw Undercover Brother, right after we had seen Ballistics X vs. Sever, which is because we used to do a thing called Operation No More Operations, where when certain people were off work at the theater, Silverman and people like that, we would all get together and just watch movies.
mhm.
Nobody wanted to go see Jason X and Undercover Brother with us, so we did that as a double feature. I love this movie, and it gets so much shit from people.
I love this movie. I think the only thing that I could ever complain about is for some reason the first part of the movie looks like shit.
The scene
Like
with
the
Cronenberg.
yes, with Cronenberg.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very dark. It's everything. That's
Hmm.
the only thing. I love this movie as a kid and everything. Now you got to remember, it's like my brother's as old as you, so
Hmm.
he loves horror movies and stuff. So we watched this. I watched this on DVD, the one that I have. I think I got from
Yeah.
him, the one with the two features of Jason Goes to Hell. Even though that's not a good feature to come with it. Like
No.
if you gave me Freddy versus Jason, I'd be like, and Jason X, I'd be like, okay, that's good. Or even not
Well,
something
see,
else.
those two things are how this movie came to be. The
Hmm.
last Friday the 13th movie was in 1993. Jason Goes to Hell, and at the end of it, Jason Michael Myers, Jesus Christ, Freddy's hand comes down, pulls Jason's mask down to hell. Everybody goes, "Oh fuck, Freddy versus Jason." So once they got everything all resolved, it took from 93 to 2003 to get that
2000,
movie.
2002. Oh wait, no, sorry, Freddy.
2002.
Sorry, no. Two. I don't know about the Freddy versus Jason what year it came out, but
Mhm.
this movie came out in 2002. I thought you meant by
Okay.
that. Sorry about that. I didn't mean that.
No,
I
no,
thought you were
no.
talking about
Yeah,
this movie.
yeah. So, but it took a really long time. So Sean Cunningham, the producer, wanted to get another Friday the 13th, well, another Jason movie because Paramount owns the name Friday the 13th, and they had thrown out a whole bunch of ideas. I was talking to you before about the Jason in the Snow one.
I think
Where
that would have been a great movie to
yeah,
start out with after 94. Do that like 96. You got like because the last one came out in 93. If you got it
hmm
out around 96,
yeah,
then it would have been awesome because you'd had 3 years to make it, come out in
hmm
1996, and then you'd have 4 years to make this movie and then have it come out in 2000. And
yeah,
actually,
where
I
it
feel
makes sense, right?
yeah, instead of calling it Jason X because the X would be
10.
for 10 for the if we did they
Yeah.
did the snow movie, what you could have done was called maybe the snow movie X and stuff still,
hmm
or called it Axe because maybe he has an axe or something for the snow
Or
or
like
whatever.
something with like I don't know, Jason Sub Zero
Yeah,
or
like
something
something
like
like
that, you
that.
know?
Yeah, and
But
then
then you could have it end with him freezing in the lake and it returns it back to the first one,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what we were
that's how he's
saying. Like,
found. Yeah.
yeah, you could literally just like him go into the water and like be frozen in there, and then
Mhm.
and then there's an ice age for the rest of time after that, and then they're like and then they go through it, and then everything's melting on that planet because it's going from an ice age to like a burning or whatever
Yeah.
on Earth 1. That would have been cool, but
Well,
you could have called Jason X instead of calling it
yeah,
Jason X, since it would be the 11th movie. You could have called it Jason 2000, and
that would
that
have made
would
more sense, like
yes.
Dracula 2000 and all that. So the thing that I thought was weird about this one is Jason's essentially Wolverine in the beginning.
Yes.
They have him because he regenerates,
Hmm.
and then they're gonna like freeze him so that he can kill people in the future. So I thought that whole thing was kind of strange. But then again, David Cronenberg is in the movie. He's one of the most well-known art house directors, and he's in this Friday the 13th movie because, Jason movie, because the dude who directed it worked with him in the past, and he said he would come be in the movie if he could get killed. And Jason's fucking like Mortal Kombating people with chains and Batmaning around and breaking people. I like that they pull the sheet off the dude, and it's the dude. I was like, Jason had the wherewithal to like put that guy in his place and hook him up and cover it, and then hide in the corner and be like,
You know his Jesus, his little kid self
yeah.
said that in his head. He's laughing like that. It's little kid self. But like I said to many, like I say to many people, I love this mask in the first part of the
Oh,
movie.
so do I.
That mask, I don't know why it looks cool. And what I think what the funniest thing about this is,
Hmm.
anybody who is making a knockoff mask for like your local drugstore or anything
Yeah.
made this mask. What they did was, the only difference was, because I seen it at, like when I was a Rite Aid when I was a kid.
Hmm.
The only difference is they would put holes right here in the
Yeah.
nose to make it look kind of like a pig nose instead.
Hmm.
See, they kind of did that with the mask. It kind of looked like it wasn't rounded. It was more of like
Because
a.
Jason Goes to Hell, like he was all covered in like tumors, and it was
Mm-hmm.
weird the way it was fused into the mask. Like I didn't never like that look to him. My favorite is the John Carl Buechler look. As much as I dislike Part 7, I love the zombie look of Jason. That's kind of the one that like the best action figures and everything are always based on the Jason in Part 7.
Those are the ones I have.
Yeah,
The necker
NECA. Yeah.
NECA, yeah, the NECA cons or whatever they're
And
called.
I had the McFarlane one when they used to do the movie Maniacs as well.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember when I had my comic shop. I have no idea what happened to them. The only one I think I still have is I still have Ash somewhere, and I still have Norman Bates.
I have random shit when I was a kid. I'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, I had that. I don't know where the fuck it went though.
Well, there
It's
was a lot
been.
of Freddy, and there was more Freddy shit when I was a kid. There was like a talking Freddy doll, and there was like these little balls you'd squeeze water out of their mouths and shit.
I still have the talking Freddy doll from the
Mhm.
packaging. My brother got two for Christmas for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like in a package deal, but they were like cheaper than buying one or something. But he gave me one when I was for like my birthday or Christmas or something. And he was like, I was like, wow. He's like, don't open it. And I'm like 10. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean I can't open
There
it?
was
You're
a there
10.
was a there was a Freddy 1900 number. I guess you
Ugh.
couldn't call Jason because he doesn't talk.
Well,
But yeah, there
that's
was
the
all there
sad
was
part about Jason and Michael
trading
Myers.
cards
He
and
can't
shit.
talk.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah, no, so that was a big boom, and that's why like saying that you're releasing a movie in 96, because then it would still be riding the Scream wave, and you could have reinvigorated that. But this movie was a stopgap for Sean Cunningham to make, and they had a bunch of ideas. Like I said to you, I love the idea of
the snow.
skiers getting lost in a whiteout, and then winding up at Camp Crystal Lake and having to survive in the snow. The idea of Jason emerging out of a whiteout or blood on the snow is such a cool visual. I said to you before, I was like, it's weird that they didn't do that as a found footage movie at the height of found footage, where they just let the movie sit because of the lawsuit, obviously.
Well, what happened during that time frame on why they didn't make the Freddy versus Jason movie? Because I've
They
always
just
heard
didn't get it. They didn't have a script that they liked, and there
that
was
was
a bunch of different people. I've read so many of them over the years. Like one of them literally was a courtroom. That Jason's on trial for like murder, and Freddy possesses one of the. It's ridiculous. One of them had a boxing ring in hell, and Pinhead was the like the fucking judge. Yeah, not good.
sounds like some fucking Batman shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
what it sounds like.
there's a bunch of drafts. They finally landed on the draft that they wound up using. And then David Goyer, who did he wrote a bunch of he wrote Blade 2, directed Blade 3, wrote Batman Begins, and that Batman, all that shit. He came in and did a rewrite, and that's the version that we got. But Sean S. Cunningham kind of fucked Jason X over because he just kept going in and changing things as they were going. Because in the beginning of the movie, forget the scene that takes place in a warehouse or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you get to the beginning, like for its budget, because its budget got slashed, no pun intended, the effects don't look bad. The sets don't look bad in the beginning, and then they just kind of devolve as the movie goes,
Yeah.
Because he just kept changing things over and over again. It got to the point where no one knew what they were doing, and selling people on the Jason in space thing. Do you remember Mad TV?
Yes, I remember Mad TV, Key and Peele, and the Asian dude. I can't remember his name,
Yeah.
even though I
Mhm.
see him all the time.
The
Little fat.
dude who played Little John in Halloween Kills. But they did a skit when I was in middle school, when Apollo 13 came out, and it was called Apollo the 13th, and it was Jason on a spaceship killing horny teenagers. And then when I first saw the trailer, I was like, wait a minute, like.
Hold on a
So
minute here. This seems a little suspicious.
yeah, a little bit, right? But Apollo the 13th is such a good title. Yeah, the whole idea that Jason has been captured by the government, and they're going to study him for regeneration, and he winds up killing everybody, and then gets cryo frozen with that chick. What's her, Rowan or
crap. I literally
Yeah.
cryosphere, Rowan, something, whatever. The weirdest thing though, I'm gonna say this movie ruins the Freddy versus Jason movie. If you actually
not
think
really,
about it.
because
Well,
Freddy versus Jason could take place on Earth too.
yeah, well, the reason why I say that, because listen though, before you watch the movie, okay,
Mhm.
you think in your head, oh fuck, Jason survived.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you think, because it's like it's actually, if you think about it, you think that, well, shit, he could have survived,
Mhm.
because if this is in 2010, and I really think in my head that, does Freddy versus Jason like take place in that time period when it's released, or no?
No, I think it just takes place. It doesn't really have
It
any.
doesn't have like a time whatever. Okay, so that doesn't matter then. Okay, so that
Just
really
that the
doesn't.
continuity of Freddy and Jason have both happened, so
Well,
that's really all.
it really doesn't matter anyway, because that is it sounds horrible for me to say this, but the Freddy versus Jason thing is a completely different universe than
Yeah, to a degree. And I mean, the timeline for Friday the 13th is so fucked up anyway. Like,
oh
there's no
yeah.
rhyme or reason to how those movies take place. I was talking to somebody earlier, and they said it was blasphemy. I told him I was going to be shooting this with you. And he said his favorite was the first one. And I was like, I think the first one's overrated. And
I
people were like, how could you say that? I'm like, yes, it was the first of its kind for America, but how much shit did Friday the 13th rip off from Giallo films? And the sexual teen angle is something that had been done in
from
Europe before.
That's also most of what they shot, was a lot of it was stolen from Halloween, because that's
Yeah,
how
well, I mean, that's what it started out as, it was
yeah.
like, let's make a rip off of Halloween.
Yeah, because if you think about it, because a lot of the scenes with Michael Myers and stuff, he is, you don't see him until a certain point and everything. So what they did was they said, "Huh, let's just take that they do, but we're gonna do it practically in the whole movie. We're not gonna show
And
the
then add
killer."
gore to it. There was more gore, more nudity. But the idea of the unseen killer or the hands, that's something that Bava and Argento and
Yeah,
all Fulci, everybody had done that. In part two, where the guy and the girl are having sex and they get the spear to the back, that scene is right out of Bay of Blood. Like they ripped that off from there. Now, granted, I love Tom Savini's makeup. I thought that the end where they added the extra jump scare of Ari Lehman jumping out of the lake, great shit. But I think that the series actually comes into its own in part two, where it is more of a a grindhouse slasher kind of movie, sort of like Halloween 2 is the grindhouse version of Halloween.
yes. When I see like my local drive-in, they're open until like October or something,
Yeah.
and they always do horror movies and they always do classic ones, and a lot of them they put together is they'll do 3-movie marathon sometimes,
Mhm.
but if they don't, they at least do these two. They do the first ever Freddy movie, and then they do the first
Mhm.
ever Friday 13th movie. And I
Yeah.
always look, because I know the people, and I always tell them like,
Mhm.
you need to just bring in, because a lot of people leave when the Friday 13th movie comes on, and
Yeah.
they're like, well, yeah, well, they still do it. And I said they're leaving because it is just because
It's boring.
people know Friday the 13th for Jason. If
Yeah.
you ask a group of random people in the world in a thing, they'll be
Mhm.
like, hey, who was the killer in the first Friday the 13th movie? They'll say Jason. They won't say his
And that's
mom.
and that's how you die and scream.
Yeah. That's how you, Drew Barrymore, dies in
Yeah. I mean,
Scream.
I like 2, I love 3, I love
I
5
think
because
I always say this, and I tell the people, and I hope they do it next year and stuff. I told them, I said, do Freddy versus if you're gonna do Freddy versus Jason, whatever. If you're just doing
Mhm.
Friday, if you're just doing the first Nightmare on Elm Street, I said, do Nightmare on Elm Street and do Jason Part 3. I said, because he's back, he gets the mask. Nobody, you hear about him and
Couple,
everything.
yeah.
It's
Uh,
because the reason why I say that is because nobody is going to. I'm sorry to say this to like people like us and everything, but
mhm.
no one is. I look at like how studios would look at it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to see that
Oh, you're a big wig. You're a big studio guy.
yeah, I'm a big studio. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is I think about how they look at it. I'm the same thing with like cars and stuff too. It's like I look at it as a person who can build things, custom things and stuff. But if I said to you, like somebody who knows nothing about cars, if I'm like, yeah, man, well, that control arm needs this, blah, 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 you'd be like,
Mhm.
what the fuck are you talking about? Oh,
Yeah.
well, the go-go juice doesn't work anymore in your car.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying though is like for somebody who these people are randomly going that
Yeah.
may love the movies, blah blah blah, but people who aren't going, like teenagers that you want to come and spend the money and
Mhm.
stuff, they're coming to see Jason. So that's the good movie to go try. Do not
Yeah.
show the first movie. People don't care about the first movie that are teenagers that are now. Like I'm 24. I cared about the first movie, but people who are now 16, 15, they don't care about it. They know Jason.
4, I think 4 or 6 would be 2 to get younger people
That's it.
involved,
That's another one. I always
you
say four.
know?
I say 3, 4, or 6 because people
Mhm.
see Jason. People see anything. 6 would probably be even better because
Yeah.
he comes
Well,
back
that's
to
what I'm
life.
running this coming Friday at the Highway Theater in Jenkintown. I'm running part 6 and gonna do the whole intro to it and everything. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Well, see,
I,
see,
I'm
see.
not a
People are
huge
gonna come and
yeah.
see 6.
Well, a couple months ago, I went to the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, where they shot The Blob, and saw Friday the 13th Part 3, Jaws 3, and Amityville 3, all in 35 millimeter with red blue glasses, old school style 3D. And it was so cool to see those on the big screen like that because I never, remember when the DVD came out and it had those little shitty ones that didn't have the sides on them?
Yeah.
I did see Freddy's Dead in 3D in the theater though, because the very first Freddy movie I ever saw in the theater was that one, and the very first Jason I ever saw was Jason Goes to Hell. Jason X though has some great kills in it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh, right off the bat, the fact that he's woken up by people fucking
Well,
is
the
great.
fact of the one really cool kill that we don't talk about
Mhm.
is the like how we just said about the one in the first part of the movie.
Yeah.
That is a fucking the one cool thing is like I always think, how does this motherfucker get out of these chains? He's just like, how
Mhm.
did he get off of there? He was like hanging on his like skin
Well,
or
again, he's
something.
like Batman in this
Yeah,
movie. You
yeah,
know?
exactly. He's like the Joker's like they're like Scarecrow, we got him.
Hmm.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
They're like, fuck, where'd he go? Oh shit. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Mark Hamill just coming out saying, "You fucking idiots." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That would have been funny if the director said that.
Yeah.
You fucking idiots. Where is he? You know what I mean? But
Oh, you know
um,
what? We just left out Cronenberg in that first part. Cronenberg is connected to the series because he directed a bunch of episodes of Friday the 13th, the series, which I talked about in the last Friday the 13th video I did, where Reddit said it was the most embarrassing video in YouTube history. And I feel like Jack Sparrow. It's like, you're the most, you're the worst pirate I've ever heard of. And he goes, but at least you've heard of me.
Listen, I say the same thing about with the skateboarding thing. They're like, you were a cocky asshole and whatever and stuff. And I'm like, but listen, you got one of my boards though?
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're like,
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I do actually. It's like, huh. I mean, listen, I had pretty cool graphics. I had like I had kind of a knockoff of, you know what? No, it's not a knockoff because when did the first Conjuring movie come out? Like the one with Annabelle.
2012 or 13.
Okay, so that came out in like 2011. We had like a doll that looks like so my wife's like, I want you to get, because I don't have a lot of them because I was a teenager, just skated them. And I said to her, I was like, I want that one. And she goes and says, I want that one so badly. And I look up on eBay and finally found one. And I'm like, honey, listen, $900 is not going to be. It's like that's not no. You know what I mean? But like I said though, I love that saying. I said that to my buddy. I said I've heard it before from you, and I'm like, it's. I mean, listen, I don't know why anybody would hate you though.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny to tell a story about how an episode of that TV show is the reason that my dad went out and met somebody. Like, I think it's funny. What are you gonna do? I can't go back in fucking time. And then there's another connection to that is, do you remember when they're in the future and they're talking to that dude on the monitor who actually knows who Jason is?
Yes.
Like the older guy. Okay, so that dude is a Cronenberg guy. He's in a bunch of shit. He's in Scanners and all that, but he's in a couple episodes of Friday the 13th, the series. He's in one where he's got like really bad cancer, and the guy who's the killer in it has these gloves, and whenever he touches people, it sucks out their disease, but then he has to give it to somebody else. And then he's in another one where he's a mentally challenged guy, and he uses a car radio to go back in time to stop his dad from making him mentally challenged by hitting him and being part of the Klan. The episode's called "Hate on the Dial."
Well, is this the reason? Does this connect to the Seven? Because wasn't one of the episodes like Supernatural? Of the Friday.
Well, the show and the movies never crossed over.
Well, no, but I mean by is like, wasn't there an episode that was kind of supernatural-ish?
Well, they all were.
They all no, but I'm saying, wasn't there like a supernatural-ish girl in one?
Part 7 had the girl who was essentially Carrie.
Well, yeah, I know, but I meant by like
show. There was constantly people with powers.
Okay, then I was gonna say, I was like, I wonder if they took that idea, but they just totally just
show was about like a dude made a deal with the devil, and it cursed all these antiques, and then they had to go out and get them. Sarah Polley from the Dawn of the Dead remake is in the pilot episode. There's a lot of well-known actors who pop up in it because it was made in Canada. But I just thought it was funny when I rewatched it again. I was like, oh yeah, the fucking dude from the TV show was on this because Cronenberg directed those.
It's like he's the guy who has cancer 500,000 years later. 500 years later, and that's why he's in that little bed thing. I love that too in that scene when he comes out and he's like, "Did you say Jason Voorhees?" And one thing too, it's fucked up. He doesn't have teeth. So it's like his front teeth are like kind of missing, and he like talks.
No, he's just got this weird face. Like that's just how that dude talks.
I thought he was missing teeth because I know how people who are like missing teeth, it'll sometimes suck up a little bit. Okay, he just talks like that. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. But he's like, I love how he pops out because I thought maybe like when I saw this, I was like, is this motherfucker dying or something? Because no, I'm just realizing that's how probably they sleep in some fucking ship or something. And I'm like, oh yeah. Well, that's the one thing too. Do you ever notice like how this is Star Wars? I mean, not Star Wars, Star Trek. Because I'm like, I realized this while watching the movie when they said, and they're like, we'll do a distress, beacon and see if somebody come, and then somebody does come, and then I'm like sitting here like, yeah, if this was more like Star Wars, that would never fucking happen. There would be 20 ships passing your fucking dying ship, and they'll be like, F you losers. You know what I mean? They'll just flip you guys off.
Everyone in the future in this movie is a fucking idiot, first off. Like, humanity, there's no way that we survive that long if those people are that stupid. Like, they fucking bring, like, the Scooby-Doo character who gets his arm cut off, and he's like, you're pretty, huh? And I'm just like, come on.
Or like how in the Freddy versus Jason, they practically took that character from this movie and said, hey, the Jason Mewes character that we had from Jason X, just fucking throw him in that movie.
And what did I say to you the other night? I said, in the future, they don't smoke grass. They smoke AstroTurf.
AstroTurf. And I said, do they smoke that good Mars?
Yeah, there you go.
But but so like how the movie starts out with that, it has the I love before we go into like the actual like kills when we get there and stuff, is where I think the best part like that was in like the first part of the movie is when she runs, like she's like listening and she's like sitting there and she's like, oh my god, not a normal person would be like, you know, like some white people shit is what she's doing in the movie. She's just like like trying to look in and stuff. It's like if I heard that shit, I'd be like, since she knows about Jason, I'd be like, fuck, I'm out. I'm
Jason also gives her the benefit of the doubt and lets her pick up a shotgun.
Well, that's another thing too. I love how the guy gets thrown with the shotgun perfectly. Like he gets thrown across the room, and then the shotgun fucking gets thrown. You know, they couldn't do Halloween part was it part 5 where fucking Jason just shoves it in him. Yeah, why didn't they just do that? That would have been better because then she'd have to be like, I'm sorry. It takes it out of him. That would have been better.
He's still in him and he's shooting people with it still in him, you know?
Come here. What? That would have been better. But she picks it up and leaves, and then they're going down the stairs. The worst part about this first part of the movie is I know it's supposed to be futuristic and everything, but at this point it isn't. It's fucking 2010, okay? Everything's been we've had a little bit of different in technology. We don't have that much different from 2000 and something. But she's like walking and it's very quiet, and I'm like, where's the I was just like, I understand it's different, but I'm like, I just noticed that in the movie. I'm like, it's so fucking quiet when they're walking down the stairs. It's like just very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Even Jason, what's he weigh? Like 300 fucking pounds dead? He's like that quiet coming out. I didn't even hear he's wearing boots. And I didn't hear.
And it's unfortunate that this is the last appearance of Kane Hodder as Jason. He is my favorite Jason.
He's my favorite Jason.
Yeah, and I thought it sucks that he kind of was Jason in some of the lesser movies, because I feel like, you know, people love him so much. He's more relatable at cons and stuff like that. But I always wish that he had like more shit to do, because the MPAA was so fucking diligent on cutting these movies down when he was already involved. Part 7 especially just got cut to shreds. But he's great in this one. I especially love when he becomes Uber Jason, though. I think that whole thing is so cool.
The suit is I feel like they put most of the production value in that fucking suit. That
looks
suit,
like Chrome Lord Zed from Power Rangers.
He just looks badass. But I also think when they go down and she like, is she purposely following to go down to the ice chamber just to save people or something?
No, I think it's just because the script said it had to happen.
Well,
I don't really think there's any rhyme or reason to it. She's like, I read the script. I have to go down here now.
Yeah, very quietly and like tippy toe down through it. Gets in there. He gets put in there. And then she's like, oh my God, thank God. Instead of fucking leaving, she looks straight at him like you're about to go.
Right through it.
Just fucking stabs him. And it's the worst. It's the worst because it's awesome. But I'm also thinking too, is like, how is she alive? That's the one thing I wanted to talk about.
She's fresh. This movie is basically
there's
like
no such thing as like I don't mean to like say anything, but there's no such thing as a god in these movies.
If there was, and he let a Jason do that for 10 movies, you know. Jason is essentially a Christian. Jason is essentially a Christian because he kills people who have premarital sex and do drugs, so you know.
He is Catholic, you know.
Yeah.
but I'm just like, I was thinking about this when they woke her up, and I was like sitting here, I was like, you know, I understand like probably people aren't religious, but then also too is like, if you're a man of science, you would think the brain would be gone. Like you're telling me that it's just fucking been there. Like, well, just think about this though. If she died,
they don't want you to think about that.
But we're movie people, so we're gonna think about that. You know what I mean?
It's like, please just keep moving, and they won't have time to think about it.
That's what they wanted for this
Yeah.
movie. They wanted horny teenagers watch this fucking movie
Mhm.
and not watch it, just sleep with each other in the back of the movie theater. They didn't care.
Yeah.
But the funniest thing is, though, think about this though. If there was a religion, okay, just imagine she's up in heaven, just living her life. Her body's frozen down there, and then they put all that shit 500 years later, and she wakes the fuck, and she's like, "What the fuck?" That would have been.
Does in that when they put so they get frozen. We wake up 500 years later, a group of scavengers, the earth is completely decimated, and then they use like nanobots. Like, first off, I could see them bringing her, but like Jason is this big hulking monster in a mask to a sport that hasn't probably existed in 1,000 years.
Well, they said that we're about to come up on that. What did they say? 2025? They
Yeah.
said hockey is going to be illegal in 2025. And I'm like, we're coming up on that shit.
No, because they've taken fighting out of the game, so it's not as,
Oh, I know. I used to.
That's what I was doing actually before I shot this. That's why my hair, I look like Frosty the Clown. I got done work today and I decided I was going to go play ice hockey. So I went to an open skate and I realized how out of shape I was. But it was like 500 degrees when I was in there and my hair just got fucking huge. So
it's hot as
like,
hell in there?
Huh?
It's hot in there?
In the locker room and all that kind of stuff. I guess because it was so cold here, then it got so warm for the last few days that they didn't bother to adjust the heat in the thing. So the locker room was like a sauna, and I was just like, fuck it. So I showered when I got home and stuff. But that's why we started a little bit later than we wanted to, because I was like rushing home. Then I had to throw my gear to freeze my shit out and all that, so my apartment doesn't stink like sweat.
Oh my god,
he's in really good shape.
I need to do that too. I feel like this because I just got this in the mail and it's a Nike SB thing, and I was like, this is gonna be great. It's an extra large, and I'm like, why is it so like tight and short? And then I realized that somebody told me, they're like, yeah, it's unisex. Everything's unisex now, and I hate that because it's like the things that aren't unisex are super big on me if I get like an extra large or something. And now I'm like, oh, I feel like a fat ass. I know. I used to play hockey.
They bring Freddie, I'm sorry, Freddie.
They bring Jason. You know what would have been better?
We start to meet our people, and everybody looks like those 90s like shows that came out about after Hercules and Xena, like Lex and that Cleopatra one and fucking Andromeda.
Isn't a lot of the people from that stuff in this movie?
Yeah.
No, I mean, aren't a lot of the actors from those shows and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the weirdest thing is, you ever notice about like people from the future? They're wearing a lot of like shag carpet. The men are, at least, like the fuzzy stuff. I was like, this is the 90s. I'm like, they thought this shit.
A lot of them have those haircuts too, like they're in a boy band. Like that kind of spiky front thing that they've got.
The blonde tips or whatever type of crap. Yeah, I thought, I was linking this and I was like sitting there, I'm like, why are they wearing this stuff? And then the weirdest thing is, though, the mechanic guy, the other guy who's like the fat guy with the whatever thing he's wearing, he's wearing stuff from like the 1990s. He's like, no,
he looked like he could be a hippie. Almost,
Yeah, exactly. Is that what everybody was? Is that what they were doing? They were like, hey, this is what the future looks like in the 70s, man.
And then it's like how we look at Star Wars. Like, it's funny that everybody's got 70s haircuts, but yeah, and then you meet the character who's like, she looks like she could be a Resident Evil character, the android.
Yes, or she could have been the girl from Resident Evil. Well, I mean, she's older, so that's why she isn't, but she was older than that actress. I didn't even know that. She was actually decent. She's like 50 something now, 60 something. Yeah, so it's like she was in her like mid 30s to almost 40s when she did this movie. Okay. So I mean, like, damn, she's looking good,
Some people look younger, man. I used to look way younger than I am.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it, Mr. Fountain of Youth. I'm 24 over there, and people are like, you aren't like 28, and I'm like, stop saying that. I was okay with it when I was 16 buying beer, but like now I'm like, stop it.
So we have our science officer who's now she's doing an autopsy on Jason's thawing body.
I so love too is like, how bad is the mask on him that she has to cut it off? Yeah, cut it off. I'm like, wow. And then the worst, you ever like notice in the part where she's like putting the eyeballs in and like just sitting over there doing her paperwork, and then like the ooze starts dripping down, and I'm sitting there like, I can physically see the tray. It's a tray that goes off, and it takes like whatever blood and stuff down inside to like take it and stuff. There's
Yeah.
no way this thing's overflowing instead of going down. I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know, I gotta be working in movies right now. I need to be there to be the idiots that get paid to make sure it's like, were you wearing makeup in that shoot? Hold on. Like that type of stuff.
Continuity is important. You
Yeah.
should have seen me trying to keep continuity in Swamp Zombies 2, man. I threw my hands up at one point and was like, I can't do anything about this.
You were wearing a blue shirt yesterday, and now you're wearing an orange shirt. I don't know. Where's the shirt? I don't know. I don't give a fuck.
There's a lot of like you watch like a lot of these like Amityville movies or shark movies, like the no budget ones, like the Dustin Ferguson movies or the Sean C. Phillips movies or whatever. They have scenes where guys will just go put on a different shirt and then go back to it because they clearly forgot to bring the shirt he was wearing the other day. So they have to add a scene now where he puts on another shirt so they can continue the movie.
Well, it's like that. My mom watches, what is it, The Days of Our Lives or whatever. And then there's a character that wears an eye patch. And my mom said, you know, he switched sides like 5 times in 20, 30 years. She's like, it was when it first started, it was on the left. Now it's on the right. Now it's back on the left.
That. Well, it's like that's the famous the screwdriver to the ear in Dawn of the Dead was because they realized that in this next scene he didn't have the sweatshirt tied around his waist. So they had to shoot a scene to show something pulling it off. So they did that kill. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know?
Well, it's like there's a Disney Channel movie that I watched when I was a kid. It was some stupid thing about a comic book where the dad was a comic book writer and stuff, and then these fanboys kidnap them, and she tries to save him or something or whatever. His daughter. Well, in one scene, she gets like smacked in the face with cake. And then when she comes out of the building, she's completely fucking clean. Like she walks out of the door with a bunch of shit all over, and then it's just like she looked like she took a shower and put on clean clothes. But yeah, they always miss things in movies, so you know.
Yeah.
But
one of my favorites is fucking in the first Spider-Man movie when he breaks the lamp, and then when the door opens, the lamp is back again. So it's just or Raiders of the Lost Ark. One of the favorite things is when after the whole car chase scene and all, when the Rolls Royce comes back into the little village, the one dude's not even in the car. It's just his hat. I guess they didn't think the camera would see it, but it's just his hat on a pile of stuff. He's not in the shot. All right. So we've got a couple fucking in another room, and this wakes Jason up. His boner sense is tingling.
He immediately gets up like that is a calling. He got up like if you did a spell in an Egyptian movie and the fucking mummy woke up. He did Undertaker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It led to my favorite kill in the entire Friday the 13th series, but it also goes like, how did Jason know that would work?
Well, he probably thought it was water, and he probably thought that like she would fucking like drown or something. Yeah. And then he does smack people's heads off of things, so he's just like fuck the bitch. But
in this movie, he does that to Todd Farmer, the writer of this movie. He does that when they're in that VR thing, smashes his head.
Yeah, the bald dude, the guy who looks like the guy from Clerks 2,
Kinky Kelly and the
Kinky Kelly with the sexy stud. I was like, is that Kinky Kelly?
They went on after this one. They went on to do the My Bloody Valentine remake, which I really
love that movie.
And Drive Angry 3D is fantastic. You know, yeah. So.
Well, I gotta say this though about that scene with the favorite kill. The one thing I really love about it is because when you see something that's like a dummy or whatever, they don't fall like humans fall and everything.
Yeah.
When he smashes her head off of it,
and then
she fucking flopped. Like that was a dead body falling down.
I think it's also because Kane Hodder, being a stuntman, knew how that worked. Because he lets go of the hair and lets it go this way. And I feel like that's why it feels more natural, because he's a dude who knows that stuff. But yeah, he grabs this chick who's the science officer by the head, dunks her face in like fucking what is it? It's like
it's like stuff. It's kind of like the stuff that you could put in your mouth that'll like bring it's almost like a CO2. Do you ever see the Mighty Ducks 2? Yes.
or no, was it no 3 where they freeze the other team's their locker room and then
I
they
know,
break it all?
I know what it is. It is like a gas. It's not. I mean, it's called a gas, but it's not a
Yeah.
gas and everything. It's a certain type of stuff that freezes really fast. It
Mhm.
won't like hurt you or anything.
Yeah.
Well, it did, but it will. I mean, if you get too much of on it, it will freeze your
Well, yeah,
hand
we
off.
had
Yeah,
when I ran the Wayne Theater, soda machines hook up the CO2 for carbonation,
yeah.
and I guess we got a punctured one, and we were downstairs. It was when Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out, and it literally sounded like a jet was taking off in the projection booth. And I ran upstairs to grab it because people were complaining. I grabbed it with my hand and ran it to another spot in the building where nobody could hear it. And then when I let go of it, it took all the skin on my palm off, and
Yeah.
it was crazy. But yeah, so he freezes this chick's face. I love that her face is in the water, the camera's looking at it, and for a minute it's fine, and then her expression changes to frozen. He pulls her head up, and it's fucking Frosty the Snowman, and then he just bashes it on the counter, and then flops her body, and now he's off to the races killing people.
He's just like, I'm done. And then the what I love about that scene too is how she looks back and she's like, huh.
Mhm.
And then it's just like, hey, like white girl, blondie. Did you not look back and see that he's missing? Like,
Yeah, yep.
oh,
Got nice under boob in that scene as well, and then you have the other couples banging, and Jason just fucking kills him and then drags him away.
yeah, they're like they were leaving because they had sex and then they're done and they're just chilling, and then she kills her and then the alarm goes off, so they're just like, oh my god, well, I gotta go. And then he's just like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck. The worst part about it though is how the girl who just watched him fucking die eventually comes back out. If I was her, I'd be like, luck.
Yeah, that door's locked now. Bye.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch TV. My man just fucking died in front of me.
I'll find another dude with Justin Timberlake hair and a fuzzy shirt to bang up here,
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm gonna die alone in here, not fucking suffering. But
you got the scumbag businessman guy who's supposed to, who finds out that Jason's body is worth something. He's banging one of the chicks as well, but like,
is she a chick?
I thought so,
because she goes and hits on this nerdy guy who built the robot, and he goes and I'm just stating this, but he goes and says, she's like, you want me, and he goes and says, I'm sorry, I can't be with somebody with bigger balls than me. And I was just like, hold on a minute.
Well, I think just because like she's a badass and like,
was she a badass? She was screaming the whole fucking time.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was. In the future, who needs gender norms? It's like the movie The Eternals. They were like, it's the first gay character. I was like, dude, if I've been around for thousands and thousands of years, I've fucked men, women. Who cares?
Isn't that what the Romans did back in the day? They didn't give a fuck.
That's different. But yeah, it's just like gender.
That's
norms.
different.
Yeah, it's back then. They were
there were so much diseases.
They were making roads that are still good to this day.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you ever see Caligula?
The what?
You ever see the movie Caligula?
Yes.
Okay, that's fucking everything,
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, she. I'm trying to think now. I was like, no, it's definitely a woman. That was definitely a like ball. You've got balls kind of thing.
Well, the reason why I said then because she also that girl and everything. There's like weird like alien weird organism baby things and stuff.
Yeah.
And then she's like, that's her offspring. And I was like thinking in my head, like I thought there for a minute there. I'm like, they have her balls in a fucking guitar.
But then she's like clamping his nipples.
Yes, that was fucking. Yeah, the worst part about it, there is a decent amount of nudity in here. Mm-hmm. Why was she wearing panties while fucking him? I saw it and I'm like, what are you doing? What is this? What is this? 2000
future technology.
Well, what is dick just going through?
Yeah, just future tech.
That's the new condom of today.
Maybe
it's her underwear.
Maybe he's a Mormon. They have their magic underwear.
Well, she's just squeezing, and then he screams, "You pat!"
I can't. I don't get that whole fucking thing, man.
Well, it's because it's the college thing. And my wife went to a Catholic college it's literally for people who go for law, people who are going to be working in the NFL or any type of sports,
Mhm.
medical or art, because everything is
Okay.
stupidly expensive there. But
Yeah.
she has told me many times, I'm not calling anybody out. If any of her friends see this shit, you know who you are. They fucked the professor many fucking times to get back.
Oh, I don't
And
mean that. I mean the nipple thing, man. Nipple trauma is horrifying.
oh, that
Like,
he just must like pain. Like he must really like pain. Like,
yeah,
but like though I think it's hilarious though. Even 540 years later, they're still fucking their professor.
exactly. Which is kind of like in Jason Takes Manhattan too. Like, the chick was trying to like blackmail her professor by banging him while the other dude like recorded it, you know?
They're still
And that's the
that.
other thing. Let's talk about that. People dislike this movie, okay? And they're
Yeah,
like, oh, it fucking ruined Friday the 13th. You're telling me that Jason X is worse than Jason Goes to Hell,
no,
Takes Manhattan, or
no,
Part 7, where he fights
no.
Carrie? No.
The in my opinion, I feel like part 7 is only better than only but then Jason X is because of the costume, because of his
Yeah,
makeup
but
and stuff. That's the
it's
only thing that puts it over for me. It's like,
yeah, I don't know. I love Chrome Lord Zed when we get to Uber Jason, you know? Um,
yeah, the good
yeah, I
20
don't know.
minutes of the
Everybody's
fucking
always
movie.
But again, people are like, "Oh, it's he's in space. That's so unrealistic." I'm like, unrealistic? Did you watch any of the other movies? Like, he's
Do you remember any of this shit? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, he died many ways that you could not fucking get back from. I
yeah,
mean, Jesus Christ, the work that's even in part 7. He dies with his head splitting. I know. I
hmm
have the poster over there with Tom
yeah.
Savini's autograph on it, with his head
Oh,
splitting with the machete.
that's part 4.
That's part 4. Yeah, when he dies and
Yeah,
stuff.
when he
He
falls on
comes
the
back
machete.
in part 6, and then you see his fucking face in part 7,
Yeah,
and he doesn't have a hole there. At least in this movie, when the girl's cutting his mask off, the
hmm
the damn head looks like the
yeah,
head from the first movie. That's the
and
only time that I've seen
not
them do it again.
The Muppet head from Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, part 8. No, the little fucking what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
The that
and then
is that.
he turns into a little kid who's not a mongoloid, and I'm like, wait, what's happening here? You know, it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know when that came. There's they made. You ever notice something over the years with the Jason movies? They go like this, where the
Yeah.
budget just keeps going down and down and down, and they're
Well,
just like, "You're gonna watch it anyway." Well, oh, we lost another million. You're gonna still watch it. You're still gonna watch it. Like
they
it's
didn't really start losing money until
after
really
Manhattan.
well 6 and 7. Well, actually 5, 6, 7 is where it started to go down because before they didn't cost a lot of money
No.
and they were huge money makers, so they did them so consistently. But Paramount was embarrassed by them because they were getting all the parents groups and stuff like that. The first movie, Ebert and Roper, or Siskel and Ebert at that time, like gave out Jason's mom's like address on TV to say like harass this woman because this movie is garbage, you know? And it's just like, no, these movies were made for a specific type of people who like watching young people fucking doing drugs and getting killed. Like that's why we love these movies, you know?
Paramount made a lot of shitty movies
Yeah.
during the Jason era, and then they were embarrassed of fucking Jason. Get the
Yep.
fuck! I knew
Even
about
though like
that,
the head
but
of the studio's son like took over stuff for them, you know, because Sean Cunningham's son was the producer of this one, but his dad wanted it to be a hit so much he just kept fucking with it. But it's just like one of those things where they didn't really start going down until a certain point, and that's when they sold off to New Line, and that's how you get Jason Goes to Hell, which I liked the connections to the other movies in it. I like the Necronomicon and the Kandarian dagger and the crate from Creepshow and stuff. But those are way worse than Jason X. Jason X is a lot of fun. It's a B movie. It seems like a Roger Corman like Aliens ripoff. I think maybe just like with the '98 Godzilla and the Child's Play, if it didn't have Jason in it and it was called something different, I think people would have liked it a lot more. Just like
you,
if Godzilla was called Gorgo in '98, and you know,
you
the
you
new
mean like you mean like how the Joker movie is the new Joker
the Joker
movie
movie is just
is
taxi driver. Yeah, meets the King of Comedy, Last King of Comedy, or whatever, King of Comedy with De Niro as well. I like that movie, and I think that should be the direction they should take going forward with individual villain movies, how fucking cool would it be to see a Cronenberg style Clayface movie?
Yeah, that'd be
You
fucking
know,
dope. That'd be
that'd be
fucking
awesome.
dope.
But they won't do it. You know,
Well, because
I'm
you need
actually
Batman. You
yeah,
need
you know.
Batman.
So all right, so we got that kill. All right, we got the face crush. What other kills did you like in this one?
I liked the well, so I should say I'm gonna say the ones that I like later, but the one
Yeah.
I like that comes up is it's just I love the where the science guy goes and says he just picks up his old machete. Hey guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete while he's standing right beside an Apple computer that
Well,
I'm pretty
that's
sure
when he's
didn't
like,
come
he's
out.
also trying to like, he's like, I could get you money and this and that. Like he's trying to
Fair.
barter with
Like this
Jason.
fucking guy who doesn't know what you're saying. All Jason hears is like that's what
It's like
he
the
thinks.
peanuts. He
Yeah,
just hears the
exactly.
wah, 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 and his mom's voice. That's it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then he just I love how he just stabs him. Or
Mhm.
the should say is he cuts off his head because when they're in the part of the ship, the fucking guy who's starting the shit up goes and says, "Oh hey man, oh shit." I love that. I love how the dude's just like the head is so fake too, because you can tell it is. It's it's fucking crap. But he's just like, and then he's like, oh hey, like what the fucking actual fuck is that? Or
Then you have the virtual reality thing. They have like a holodeck, like
that,
Star Trek.
oh, you remember how he fucking goes through when they're not actually them, and he just
Yeah.
like fucking cuts the stoner kid, and he's just like, this doesn't count, and I'm like, like that's like that.
Like then Jason does like wrestling moves on guys though. You know,
I
he
mean,
gives like a stone cold stunner to a dude.
hey, it's the 90s. That was the attitude era. That shit was
Well, yeah,
fucking
it was
banging.
early 2000s, so was the still was it still
Wait,
the
when did
attitude
they
era?
make when did they start making this movie though?
Probably
That's
like
the thing.
2001.
I feel like they started making this shit in the 90s. That's because I like
No,
especially the CGI.
it
What's
got
up
made.
with that's up with that?
They didn't have any money,
What how much does
and
this
that
movie what's the budget of this movie?
I don't know.
I wonder what it I
I'll
wonder
look
what
it
it
up.
is. I can't look it up right now, but I
Because you're
wonder
on
what
that,
it
yeah.
I wonder what that is because
It got slashed too, so you know you I don't know, but it definitely went down. You could definitely tell because all the way up to when their ship crashes into the space station, so help's not coming.
yeah,
That's when you can tell that the effects are getting a little less
shittier.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
but
the
I like.
walls start getting shittier and looking like it's a
Mhm.
fucking, a shed that's for a homeless man. You know what I mean?
When
Like,
they're walking through that one tunnel that like is all those like circles, like they have that at the haunted attraction near my house. So it's like stuff like that. But
that was like garbage bags. That was like
yeah.
Walmart bags. That was that was early 2000 blue Walmart bags that they all taped together. That was also the one thing that I noticed too. If you ever see him, one of the shots of the movie when they're like the dude's falling down and then she's carrying him and stuff, you can see the one piece flying through, like the bag piece flying through. So like air's getting out. Like they didn't see that. Like,
Well, I hate that when the one fucking girl when Jason punches through the airlock and she's like, "This sucks on so many levels," and she's sucked out, and they don't show it. But I'm like, oh, really? Your last words are gonna be a bad pun? Come on.
what the one thing that was the worst. Would you say that's the worst kill of the movie?
Yeah, because they don't show you anything.
They don't show you anything, but also too, it's like it would have been better if she just went and like fucking stopped it for a second, and then
Yeah.
everybody got
Well, like
through.
in Alien 4,
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Alien Resurrection, you know?
Yeah, exactly. They would have just it would just stopped. And then she would
Yeah.
have started getting sucking through. And then it would have been dope if he just grabbed her back again and fucking threw her through. That would have been badass. But
Yeah.
I wasn't alive when they I was a couple years old when they were making this movie. And I don't know why, but I'll tell you what, I could write a better movie than their dumbass.
I don't think, I mean, it's the thing, like, it got rewritten so many times, and they said there was a way better idea originally. But I think for what it is, it's fun. Like, I'll watch this one way more than I'll watch some of the other ones. I love when he throws the dude down onto the drill, and he's basically like his body's like, getting drilled down. I thought that was really cool.
I
And then, of
love
course,
I love the virtual reality scene where he kills the two camp counselors, because
That's
that
amazing.
that fucking was so amazing that they put it as a kill in the video game, where
Yeah.
you could just put him you could hide in a bag, and if he
Mhm.
catches you, he'll fucking just rip you out and then fucking swing you
Because
across from the
that
trees.
was in part 6, but they cut it down considerably.
Exactly.
So
It's
yeah, so
compared to
they got to
this.
do it here. But I love that they put him, like you said, Star Trek. They put him in a holodeck, and then there's just two like chicks, and they're like, "Do you want to smoke pot and have
And
premarital sex?" They take their tops off.
I don't even are they saying ow when he's fucking hitting them with each
One
other?
does, yes,
One
yeah,
does say ow. I thought they were
yeah.
like laughing when he was fucking hitting them. I was
I
like,
love,
that
yeah, he's just slamming her against the tree, then down on the other one. I was like, oh, that's so great. That's such a good kill.
what I
That's
love.
kind of the one that everyone tends to know in this movie, you know?
The one thing I do love about this movie is when she goes and says to them, "Can't you just beam us off the ship?" And then he
Yeah.
go, "Beam," you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is you talking about? Like,
So
oh, you know,
they crash into the other spaceship or the space station. Nobody's coming to help.
they crash
The
into the
robot,
hood. They crash into the hood. They
yes.
crash into the hood. That's what they
Oh no!
crashed
Oh, that's
into.
what I was telling you the other day.
Yeah,
I said they've done, Leprechaun in space. They've done Hellraiser in space. They've done Leprechaun in the Hood. What if we do in the Hood in space? So you combine them. So I said, let's do Amityville in space in the Hood. So it's the Hood space, because we've moved off of Earth at this point, and people have come and gentrified certain parts of space. So there would be a Hood, and then they're just put them together.
you
I'll
just
take
put
my money
Jason.
now, Wild Eye. Wild Eye
It,
releasing. Give me money.
when Jason X is, it's at the end of the movie of Amityville, all you see is the fucking ship just coming through and destroying. What
Yeah.
the fuck is that? It just comes right
So
through.
the robot chick whose nipples fall off earlier in the movie, she kind of comes out like a badass. She fucking blows Jason's head off.
Oh, sure.
Uh,
His arm. That's another worst part. I think that's the
mm,
worst thing that I've seen of a practical effect. You should have just did some type of the green screening, but
yeah,
because when they shoot his arm off, I can see big ass Kane Hodder's
yeah.
muscular arm attached to his body because he's just like fucking Frankenstein over there. And then they
But
shoot off his leg, falls down, shoot off his head. There you
the
go.
head is awesome though because it just takes off half of it,
Yeah,
and
it
then
has like
they think they're safe, but then the nanobots get Jason and turn him into Uber Jason. And you and
it's
I were talking about it before. You thought he was in. For some reason, we both thought he was in way more of the movie.
I thought, yeah, I was rewatching it. Now I haven't watched it since I was like a teenager,
Mhm.
and I was like rewatching it, and I was sitting here, and I'm like, the fuck isn't he supposed to be in at least like an hour of the movie?
Yeah.
I was watching it, and I was like, there's only like 30 minutes left. Where the fuck's Super
Mhm.
J? Oh shit! Now he comes in when there's like fucking 20 minutes left of the
But I
movie.
think that design is so badass. I love his like fucking surgical machete that he's got.
Yeah, the surgical machete, he's fucking metal, and then his face is
Mhm.
fucking metal, and then his eyes are black like they're
Red,
fucking a
yeah, black and
demon.
red,
Yes,
which is
that's
awesome.
fucking awesome. And
Hmm.
then she comes up and like fucking kicks him, and it's just like, oh, well, this fucking set.
He punches her head off.
Yes, the worst, and that's the worst part too. I felt bad for the nerd because his sex
Mhm.
toy is gone now, and he has to remake a whole new sex toy. Maybe
That's
at
the
least
thing. Like
time.
the irony that Jason gets, if it wasn't for the nanobots, Jason is killed by a sex bot. After all his years of trying to stop sex.
Fucking the damn sex toy took him out. The
Yep.
thing, well, at least this time he will build her a body with nipples
Hmm.
on it.
Yeah.
With nipples on. She wanted it. You better make sure. See, that should have happened in the sequel movie where they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh my god, you gave me nipples." It's the only
Jason
reason.
X2.
Yeah, that should have happened.
I know.
Jason,
Well, I
Jason.
also said, so we'll get towards the end of this movie. Things are going crazy. Jason's killing people. Jason, they take off, and then Jason floats like he's Sandra Bullock in Gravity towards the ship, and he's gonna get him. But then the black dude, like not Candyman, like fucking
Yeah, that's what he looks
swipes.
like. He looks like the
Yeah,
fucking Candyman. He looks
he
like fucking Todd.
he swipes Jason and rides him down into the atmosphere of Earth 2, thinking
Well,
that they burn up.
hold on a minute here. I will say this before
Yeah.
you go and say about that. When she kicks off her head and they run away and everything,
Hmm.
you notice something. The black guy of the movie that we're talking about
Yeah.
already died. Then he came back, And then know what they said? Hey, you know the other black guy that was in there? Nah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, they just fucking were
Well,
like,
that's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Kane Hot or not Kane Hodder. Ken Foray like dies. He's underwater and he's getting chainsawed, but the test audiences liked him so much they just bring him back, and I'm like, how does that happen?
he's just fucking dead. He's just like, that's just fucking, that dude was stabbed like 3 times in his fucking chest, and he's just like, oh, fuck you, and then comes back and everything. And then that's when
And
they decide to,
day.
yeah, it saves the day. Comes back, they start running. He comes back to life. He doesn't die. Then that's when the kills happen with the virtual reality, because they're trying to fix the ship. You know, because you know, in the movie there has to be a dying ship and then have to fix something out in space or something or whatever. Then he's there. He didn't think he was gonna survive. He's just like, you know what? I'm gonna be the hero of this shit. But then they go out, they get up on the ship, they're floating away, and then they're like, oh my god, he's fucking coming. Like he's a fucking, like he's just like fucking dangerous. Like he's, oh my god, he's fucking coming. He's flying out and he's like, hey, like he's about to get, and boom, and then they go down to they should
cut it.
2.
They should recut that scene where Princess Leia, when she's Mary Poppinsing through space, and then she fucking hits Jason.
Just fucking just comes to, oh shit, is that Jason coming to save the day? Boom, you know what I mean?
And then we cut to lakeside on this other planet, and there's 2 young people who stand up because they see the Flash, and then we're led to believe that Jason is still alive on this other Earth, and is just going to start the entire cycle all over again.
See, the worst part about, you ever notice something though? They're wearing the same clothes from like 400 years ago, and that shit. I'm like thinking in my head, you know, it's 2022 now, so we're getting to years. We're never going to get to those years. We'll actually see what happens.
What did George Lucas say? It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, well, remember what Princess Leia said and everything? There's no such thing as underwear in space.
Yeah.
But I think that what the worst part about this movie is that it reminds me of the 2000s and how women aren't the same as in 2000s. Like I love that, because they're like, oh yeah, you remember the 2000s? Women looked like this, but they look like this 400 years later. And now I'm in 2022, and I'm like, what happened? Like they don't dress.
We don't know how Earth 2 was. Is it the Wally people? Is it all those fat people? And then they got, you know.
Oh my god, that's so bad. That's not what I meant by. I just meant by.
No,
like,
I know, but like,
do.
We don't know how they did the breeding process and all that shit.
Well, but, I mean, Earth 1 did die. You know, something happened. Something happened.
There was a TV show called Earth 2 in like the late 90s. It was like a sci-fi show or something like that. There's also Sequest with like super smart dolphins. And Stargate was a show as well.
I remember Stargate. Jesus.
Yeah. So I like this movie a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a fun B movie. It doesn't deserve the hate that it gets. A lot of the shit was because it was advertised so poorly by New Line that it didn't really get a chance to do much.
See, I think that this was I think what probably ruined this in just general was the Leprechaun and Hellraiser, and then also too, what really ruined it was Scream. Scream really killed a lot of things, because when did they make the 3rd movie? That was the worst movie out of all of them, because they reshot it, and then when people, you didn't see Jason.
Because of Columbine, they reshot a lot of it.
They should, because Stu was supposed to come back, and he was supposed to get kids from the school and kill people and stuff. And but what I'm saying is though, I think that movie came out first. I think it came out like 2000, 2001. So people were kind of sick and tired of killers at this time, in my opinion. Because also Resurrection came out first, right? That came out in 2002 or 1.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so if that came out first, that probably put like a damper in people's mouth.
And I think Scream killed everything, because everything became I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend and shit.
That's what kind of ruined it. The fucking
dude. Like Jason there are elements of Hellraiser Bloodline that I like. It was originally directed by the dude who created Slimer and stuff like that. He was a special effects guy. And the Weinsteins fucked that movie all up and cut it all up and changed everything around. So he had his name taken off of it, and it's directed by an Alan Smithy. But there are elements of that movie that I like.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Different time periods. And then Leprechaun in Space is a lot of fucking fun, because it's directed by Brian Trencher Smith, who is my favorite Australian director. And he just makes like fun, like B movies, you know, like VHS era movies. So you know when you're going to see Leprechaun in space exactly what you're getting. And I feel like that one is more akin to Jason X than Bloodline is, because Bloodline's a fucking mess, but there's a good idea in there, you know? So, and, you know, I'm sure that other characters will go to space and you know, they
Well,
make
I
that
hope.
joke in Halloween 6. They joke that they sent him to space.
I fucking remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I want,
Because
you
that was
know what?
apparently John Carpenter apparently said send him to space just so they would stop asking him for ideas. They stopped asking after he said put him in space, you know?
They're like, oh,
Yeah.
hold up a minute here. Well,
Yeah.
the one thing that one thing that I think that I love about the
Mm-hmm.
movie is it does have really awesome kills. Kane
Mm-hmm.
Hodder kills the shit out of this movie,
Yeah.
just being the way he does. And because he was excited for the Freddy versus Jason, because he was
Mm-hmm.
already a part of it, they were already doing things. So he just wanted to do another movie. He's always excited to be Jason.
Yeah.
I've never seen a man just dress up as Jason when he's just going to get paid to get autographs and stuff.
Yeah.
He doesn't, you know, he's a really good actor.
Yeah, I think everybody, and he's got a comeback too. He's in Daredevil. He's in the movie Monster with Charlize Theron. He's in
He's
those
also in
Hatchet movies.
those Hatchet. That's what I was gonna say. The Hatchet movies, and the Hatchet movies were really good. But like I said, is the movie got ruined because they didn't advertise it. Kind of like the same thing. What recently happened that they didn't advertise shit. There was a 2022 movie that they barely advertised it, and then they act like it's like the new Knives movie that went straight to Netflix after a week of it. It had Dave Bautista in it, and it also had like
Glass Onion.
Glass Onion. It had so many actors that were good, and I heard people say this movie was amazing, but it bombed at the box office because they only had it out for a week.
And then, well, that's what's becoming the issue, is that movies now, the window is so much shorter that it goes to streaming. So that's why your theatrical movies have the market's changed. So what we have to do is I finally saw the remake of Friday the 13th. So you and I got to get together and do the remake. We're not going to talk about it here because we're running out of time. But let's get together and talk about the remake, because I have thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I want to talk about it. Plus, too, I didn't have enough time to watch it today. I was so busy, and so it's a better thing, because it would be another hour, a mess of me thinking, "Holy crap," you know what I mean? So, versus, you know,
happy Friday the 13th, everybody! Let us know down below what you think of this movie. What you think? What's your favorite sequel? So yeah, that's it. Happy Friday the 13th. Thank you,
Happy Friday the 13th. Go watch the better movie after this. The Freddy versus Jason.